Let's talk to Helen Dewdney, because I'll tell you what, there was one particular hotel up in Manchester who took a load of bookings for the weekend that Oasis was supposed to be playing. July 11th, July the 12th, July the 19th and July the 20th, Maldron Hotels. But suddenly the bookings were cancelled and then the rooms were put back on the market, but at a much higher rate. Absolute rip-off, absolutely disgraceful. Helen, a very good morning to you.
Morning.
So, I mean, I suppose some people might say this is, you know, blatant commercialism. We live in a capitalist society. Surely hotels can do this if they want to. But it seems a little bit rude, does it not, to take a booking at a certain price, then cancel it and say you've got to rebook it at the higher price?
Absolutely. I think here that we've seen before that, you know, prices go up because of, you know, we see it at festivals and things like that. But right. I think here what really is annoying people is the fact they've taken the bookings and they haven't honoured that price, that they're cancelling it, and that they're also sort of saying that there's a technical glitch when that clearly isn't the case.
Yeah, no, right. And I mean, it happens as a matter of course, and there's nothing most people can do about it, but this is a particularly egregious scenario, isn't it? I mean, unfortunately, it's a bit like during the Euros. You know, one of my kids fancied the idea of going to see one of the games, but once you looked at the prices of the airlines, you know, instead of a normal kind of £50 ticket to Munich, it was like 400 quid. You know, instead of a hotel costing, you know, 150 quid, it was costing 600 quid. You know, it does happen, doesn't it?
Absolutely, but in those cases, if you'd bought your ticket before you knew anything, then they didn't cancel those tickets. Right. And I think that's what's particularly appalling here. And social media is rife with people saying, well, I'm never going to use that hotel chain again. Right.
And I mean, in this particular case with Maldron Hotels, I mean, if you are one of those people who bought a ticket, reserved a room on the earlier price and then had it cancelled, is there anything you can do?
There isn't a lot that you can do. I mean, you can contact the CEO. You can get the email address from ceoemail.com, right. And hopefully lots of people will bombard that office with their thoughts about it. But certainly we're seeing people going, right, that's it, I've never heard of them and I'm never going to use them. So I think it's very, very short-termism. But there isn't a lot you can do because it is legal. If they refund you, then you know you're not out of pocket. But certainly it's worth making your feelings known.
Right, because I mean, technically speaking, once they've accepted your booking, that's a contract, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you could say it's an unfair contract term for them to break it, but I think it would be very, very difficult to prove. It's certainly worth looking at the terms and conditions to see what they say about cancellations. Right. Also, if you've bought it from a site, so say you've bought it from booking.com, they're saying that it's against their terms and conditions to cancel and then put it up. Yes.
See, that's an interesting one. While I've got you on to talk about something completely different, I was away recently, went to Montenegro for a holiday, rented a car through, I think it was through booking.com, got to the airport to rent the car, and they said, oh, you'll need insurance. And I was like, well, it says here that we've already paid for the insurance. And they went, no, you need special insurance because it's Montenegro. And I said, well, is it a particularly dangerous country? And they said, oh, yeah, very dangerous. So you need to, you know, somebody steals your car or somebody breaks into it or something like that. So they more or less made it impossible to take the car away from the airport without paying for this extra insurance. And it was like 300 quid. For, you know, 10 days. It wasn't cheap. It was quite ridiculous. And I think it's a scam, and I've challenged it on a credit card payment, but apparently a lot of people have had this happen to them, not just in Montenegro, but in other sort of, you know, parts of Europe. What can you do about that? If you booked it with a, you know, a third party, if you like, what can you do?
It is very difficult, but you need to do your research before you go. You know, there's a lot of information out there about how to protect yourself and make sure that you're getting all the cover that you need. Right. Perhaps buying extra cover in this country, which is going to be cheaper. If you think you need that extra, you can go to the alternative dispute resolution providers if the company is a member of them and take the matter there as well. So there are a few things you can do, but it's very important to do your research beforehand. Yeah. And remember that your contract is with whom you gave the money. So if you gave the money to booking.com rather than the car hire, then your complaint is with booking.com. Yeah,
and well, they didn't want to know. They were just like, well, it's nothing to do with us. You know, we covered you. If you decide to take extra insurance out, that's your problem. You know, that was more or less what we got from them. But listen, great advice. Thank you, Helen. Good to talk to you. The complaining cow, not in a bad way, obviously, in a good way.